What's going on, Jerome's? Been a while since we did one of these. Raw, real audio rant. Again, if only there was a name for a sports podcast that is only audio. Maybe it goes into people's cars through AM, FM. I don't know. But all the storylines of this year about the Minnesota Vikings revamped both of the trenches. Probably best offensive line we've seen in a decade. Defensive line, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave getting after things, and as well as spending in free agency and retaining guys like Byron Murphy Jr., taking care of Josh Oliver. Aaron Jones is back and better than ever, trading for Jordan Mason, and of course, J. McCarthy. Jonathan James McCarthy, Esquire, MD. You know what it be. All right. But one of the storylines that sort of doesn't get talked about a ton is Kevin O'Connell, right? And need to preface this by saying I'm a full-on team O'Connell. You down with KOC? Yeah, you know me. The notorious KOC. And I think that he's revitalized the culture. And, not to poo-poo on the Spielman-Zimmer years, but I mean, towards the end, those were some dark days. I mean, literally when your GM and head coach reportedly were not speaking to each other, it's no bueno. It's no Gouda. Yeah. And those formerly great defenses, maybe not so much towards the end. All right. And O'Connell, Kwesi came in, both a little unorthodox, in that Kwesi, more of an R&D analytics guy versus you put the dip in your lip and then you spit and then you look at that guy can play football. I don't know why. I don't know why every GM sounds like Ed Ogeron, but I don't know. Also, you have Kevin O'Connell, who, yes, young offensive mind, but he didn't call plays full time anywhere else in the league. So that's also a little bit of an anomaly. Generally, it's the play callers that get the plum jobs, but the Vikings saw in Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi the future. And frankly, they have a great working relationship by all accounts, and both of them got extensions this offseason, and everything's good to go. All right? And then you throw in the fact that so Kevin O'Connell just seems like a good boss. You know what I mean? Unless he's completely like Jekyll and Hyde behind closed doors, like smashing things like, Cratchit, you're working on Christmas. Probably not. But you notice the coaching staff that O'Connell's assembled, as well as the continuity, right? Because a lot of the assistants on the Vikings, if they didn't get promotions elsewhere, have been around since 2022. First year Kevin O'Connell put together a staff, aside from Ed Donachel. But I feel like that retention, that loyalty, is because they believe in Kevin O'Connell. So I think that he not only is a great head coach, I think that he's a great manager of assistants. And it is the assistants who do the nitty-gritty with the players every single day, every single way in all those positional rooms, right? And with O'Connell, it just seems like he's a good leader. He's a good CEO. Frankly, if you want to get into politics after he won a dozen draw bars the next 10 years for the Vikings, I'd vote for him. Hell, I don't even know what party it is. I'd vote for him. Only if his politics are, we need to bring back cowboy collars and dark tinted visors and also center bars on offensive linemen helmets. That's it. Right? But Kevin O'Connell, reigning defending coach of the year, 13-win season, won the division year one. Would have had double-digit wins, except for a bunch of injuries in 2023. And then 14 wins last year. 14-win wild card, the first one in NFL history. But, of course, the elephant in the room is Kevin O'Connell not getting it done in the playoffs so far. 0-2. And, the first one, 2022, all right, just rode off. All right. You're at home. You lose to Daniel frickin' Jones. Saquon was still Saquon. And the defense just did not show up, right? And respect to O'Connell for realizing a change was needed, because if you're Kevin O'Connell, first-year head coach, your DC just bombs out. It's tough to make that change, right? But he set the ego aside, brought in Flores, works fantastic with Flores, and we're very lucky to have him, right? And then, last year, Yeah, everyone blames Darnold, everyone blames the offensive line, but also just the team did not look prepared. You know? And at a certain point, like you can rev up expectations too far. I don't think that was the case. Especially, the Rams game is the Rams game. That's fine. But what bothers me even more is the Lions game. You know? You got the 1 seed, 15-win season. Would have been the second best record in team history behind the 15-1 Vikings in 1998. 15-2, what'd it do? 15-2, 15-4, 15-6, 15-8. But it was just a no-call, no-show in Detroit. And Detroit was cruising for a bruising, and the defense was depleted. I mean, they got Alex Anzalone back, and he ends up looking like prime Dick Butkus. The hell's going on here, man? And also, his guy, Sam Darnold, mechanics were just a mess. And 4 red zone trips, I think they came away with 3 points. You can't do that on the road, in prime time, season on the line, biggest game in most of these guys' lives, professionally, up until that point, and just laying a goose egg. Like, almost, you could be fine if it was like a 38-37 loss, a near-run thing, but it was just a no-call, no-show, no job, no hope performance in Detroit, right? And that, fair or not, that lands at the feet of Kevin O'Connell, right? And also, beyond hasn't won the big game or hasn't won a medium-sized game is play calling, right? So Kevin O'Connell's play calling, I feel like he's progressed. And also, remember, as we said earlier, like he didn't come in as a play caller, so he didn't have that experience, so he's learning how to be a head coach and an offensive play caller at the same time, right? And I feel like he has progressed throughout the years, and his reputation as a quarterback whisperer is greatly deserved. Going back to Kirk Cousins in Washington, going to Stafford to win the Super Bowl with him, with the Rams in 2021, then the best of Kirk here with the Vikings, then Pasternak, Nick Mullins, Darnold last year, and now J.J. McCarthy. All right, so now maybe the quarterback carousel stops, and J.J. McCarthy is the guy for the next 15, 20 years. Or maybe Max Brosner gets in there. I don't know. Also, did you know that Brosner is almost 2 years older than McCarthy? Doesn't matter. But also, just in the play calling, the run game has been a glittering issue the last 3 years, right? And whether it's Dalvin or Madison or even Jones last year, the running game just hasn't been efficient. I know Aaron Jones had a career high in rushing yards last year, but the run game has not been efficient in 3 years. Each of the last 3 years, the Vikings have been 28th or worst in yards per carry, which is not, looking at notes, good. It's not good. Also, red zone efficiency, short yardage efficiency, that needs to be improved. And I do think that the improved offensive line, J.J. McCarthy's mobility, especially in the red zone, the return of Adam Thielen, who's a red zone assassin, will certainly help. But I do think that the Vikings will be able to run the ball more with the plum because that's what they want to do, especially when they get C.J. Ham back. But the offensive line, Darisaw Jackson, Kelly, Fries, O'Neal, and then you got a hammer and Jordan Mason. Let's go. Let's go, man. Also, all this talk about Kevin O'Connell, like winning these one-score games. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, there's something to be said about winning tight games because in the NFL, parity reigns, and a lot of these games are close. And finding a way, by hook or by crook, at the end of the game to win, that means you won, the other team didn't. And there's something to that. But I just want a couple of games where the Vikings blow out the other team by 40. Can we have that? Like, we haven't really had that in the Kevin O'Connell era consistently. So building on a lead, keeping that foot on the gas. And now, obviously, you're not like, well, we have a 10-point lead. I guess we'll have to let them back in. Nah, that ain't it. But I feel like that's where Kevin O'Connell can learn from a guy like Flores. I mean, Flores don't give an F. Like, Flores, in the first 7-on-7 drill in training camp against J.J. McCarthy, called a corner blitz. That's the mentality that we need. Rock and roll, moderation is for cowards, sort of approach with the offense too. All right, and sometimes it'll be like, well, you kept throwing and then the other team got back in. Don't care. At a certain point, do not care. But also, that running game and the ability to run 4-minute offense late in games, it's going to be great. And of course, the most glaring gap in O'Connell's resume is winning a game late in the season. right? Playoffs, a de facto playoff game like that Lions game last year, we haven't seen it. And it's something that Kwesi and O'Connell stressed in this offseason. Kwesi talked about winning in the Final Four. So getting to the Final Four, conference championship games, and going from there, right? And that's big boy football, right? That's where it's won and lost in the trenches, offensive line and defensive line. And can you impose your will, sometimes in hostile territory, sometimes in cold weather? Can you do that, right? And that's the question that the Vikings have to answer. And I do feel like this team has a bit of a chip. I feel like this team plays like the old Met Stadium Vikings, or TCF Bank Stadium Vikings, where, I mean, that was one of the greatest assets that the Vikings have. Like, no one talks about that either, because the fan game day experience is great inside US Bank Stadium. It's a beautiful 72 degrees, or is it 70? Doesn't matter. But temperature controlled, never have the doors open in cold weather. But, I mean, back in Met Stadium, back in Bloomington, hey, Mall of America, the hell of Mall of America. We're on the Mall of America. But that weather, that was a great equalizer, man. But I digress. Either way, but this defense getting after things, and Kevin O'Connell bombs away. Like, hey, I know you want to get your guy acclimated. I know you want to take care of the football. I know you want to do this, but at a certain point, damn the torpedoes. You have a great offensive line. You have the best wide receiver in a generation, Justin Jefferson. Addison's coming back. Chip on his shoulder, had great chemistry with McCarthy in camp. TJ Hawkinson is on a revenge tour. Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, the two-headed monster, are revved up, ready to go. We had a nickname for them, and I made it official, but now I forgot what it was. Doesn't matter. But this is a big-time season for Kevin O'Connell, right? He's got the contract. Kwesi's got the contract. Like, everything about this organization is top shelf, right? And now it's time to back up that faith that the Wilfs and the fans put in you. It's time. It's like, you are a great head coach, Kevin O'Connell. You are a great head coach. Now go be a legend. I want, at the end of the day, when Kevin O'Connell hangs up that whistle, do they still they don't wear whistles anymore? 25 years from now, I want Kevin O'Connell to be in the conversation as one of the greatest head coaches of all time. And that's more than just winning a Super Bowl. I think that the Vikings have a couple-year window where they can win multiple Super Bowls. And then guess what? They're going to have to pivot. They're going to pay J.J. McCarthy, rebuild the rooster. Kwesi's got to start hitting on draft picks. Actually, F them picks. We'll just take all UDFAs. That's what we do, baby. That's right. But this is a major, major season for Kevin O'Connell. All right? Because, like I said, you're a great head coach. But do you want to settle just for that? Great head coach that could never win the big one. Like, rest in power, but you going to be considered Marty Schottenheimer, or you going to be Bill Walsh? What's it going to be? I guess we'll see. God, I'm so excited for the season. We're going to whip somebody's ass. Say it with me, Kevin O'Connell. We're going to whip somebody's ass. Woo. It's going to be great, man. Let's go. Anyways, that's it. Raw Real Rant. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol, no production value.